everyone, and welcome back to yoga. This is the first session of 6 more that are planned. If you're new here, I'm Emily from the Fertility Network team, and before I pass over to our instructor Annie, I'll just go through our usual disclaimers. Please remember that when practicing yoga online, it is up to the individual to assess whether they're ready for the class they've chosen, in this case yoga. Obviously, if you suffer from specific injuries or disease, it's better to consult with your doctor first. The practice of yoga requires you to gauge the safety of your practice within your own personal physical limitations. Remember, it's better to build up slowly rather than to force and strain. And while you may feel exertion, you should also feel relaxed. Techniques and suggestions presented in this webinar are not intended to substitute for proper medical advice. You should always consult with your doctor before starting a new exercise program. Both Fertility Network UK and Annie Perry assume no responsibility for any injuries suffered while practicing these techniques. If you have found the session useful at the end, do let us know on social media. It's really helpful for us to get your feedback when we're planning more sessions for the future. And that is all from me. I'll pass over to you, Annie. Thank you.
Thanks, Emily. Hi, everyone. I was just saying there to Emily, it feels like absolutely ages I've been on with you guys, even though it's only really been a few weeks, hasn't it? So if you've come back to join me from last time, then thank you so much for coming back. And if you're on for the first time, then you're more than welcome. That disclaimer that Emily reads out every week, I've sort of tuned out to it obviously now, although it's very, very valid, because I was just listening there and it's a bit, I wrote it, but it said, build up slowly without force or strain. And that's really important. So often when people come to these classes, you're a beginner to yoga, which I think is brilliant if you are. And there's this preconceived notion of doing crazy shapes and really pushing deep into things. But what I love about yoga is that it really helps you to tune into your body and the needs of your body. And women, particularly because we menstruate and we're quite cyclical beings, we need to listen at different parts of our cycle. And for you guys going through a fertility journey, then it is even more important for you guys, okay? So it tends to be a slower paced class, more heading towards like restorative yoga, more slower paced. And that's really for good reason. One reason is that restorative yoga, like as in slower yoga, yin style yoga, it helps tap into the parasympathetic side of the nervous system, as opposed to the sympathetic side of the nervous system where stress, lots and lots of stress exists. We want to be on the other side, rest and digest side, and yoga can really help with that. And it's very, very needed when you're going through a fertility journey. So stress reduction is definitely one. Also, just because you guys need as much self-care as you possibly can give yourself, as much comfort and as much self-care. So that's what you guys need. So that's why I do it like that. And also, often you think when you're doing slower paced, you stay in the postures longer, you feel like perhaps you're not doing so much. And that's for good reason as well. We're trying to really get out of that go side of our being and tap in, but inside your body, by restoring your body, you're doing loads. So I have these cushions here, and they aren't just to look pretty. I'll often use them with all my clients, telling them to have a couple of cushions handy to help prop you up throughout your yoga practice. It makes it more restorative. The other thing I've got here is a little tea towel. I actually don't have a yoga strap, so I usually use a yoga strap in my studio to help us with things like forward folds and things. And often you don't have that, but you know, see a wee tea towel, if you take it long ways and fold it, can be a really handy prop to have. So if you know you do have tight hamstrings and you do have tight hips, maybe run and grab a wee tea towel, because it's everyone's got one in the house. It's such a handy thing. So I've got that on hand. I think that's all I wanted to say to you. I see a wee message pop up. I'm just checking. I always like to check in with you guys and see if everyone's all right. Yeah, I do have a little question. Oh, thanks, Kate. Really good to see you back. That's brilliant. So glad you're back. Right, I think we're good to go. I've got one more thing to tell you, in that I did a totally brutal HIIT session yesterday morning. I've been doing them since January and I've really been enjoying it. But I don't know what I did yesterday, but my glutes are agony. I'm not even joking. So for a yoga teacher, I'm like this, standing up between postures. So you're already better than I am. So that's all I'm saying, because I'm in agony today. So in case you're wondering why I'm like wincing and moving like an old lady, that's why. Okay, so let's get started. We'll do a nice 3-part breath, starting to tap into this parasympathetic nervous system, starting to really get with your body. Let's see how you're doing today. Let's see what's happening, okay? So we're doing this from what's called constructive rest position, which if you've been coming loads to these sessions, you know what a big fan I am of that. See, even sitting like this on my bum, so sore. Constructive rest position, sore. Oh my goodness. Okay, so hopefully you're not like me with really sore muscles, and you can just pop your feet on the floor at about hip width, and then just slowly lower your body down so that you're lying flat on your back. Okay, and then often when I do it from there, I just need to tap my feet in slightly towards my sit bones, but not, you don't want your heels too tight in, so it should be a nice loose position of your hips. Okay, so hopefully this feels okay for you lying on your back, but let's just draw over the body. Let's have a scan and see how everything's feeling. Sometimes you can do it and you feel, oh, I feel really tight in my lower back, or it's actually quite sore through my shoulders. It's really nice to just check in, okay? And even sometimes before we settle, I feel little pelvic tilts, almost just lifting the pelvis up a tiny little centimetre off the mat, sort of curving it up towards the ceiling and then putting it flat down again, just help for that settling sensation. And then what I would like you to do is place your hands on your belly, on your lower belly. So for women, that is over our womb. Placing your hands there. And I just want you to notice where the breath is sitting in the body. We're just breathing quite naturally just now. We're just noticing how the breath feels in the body. And what we're trying to do over the next hour is be completely present, just as we are, just as we're feeling for the next hour. So we're all about the present moment. There's nothing to worry about in the future. There's nothing to worry about in the past. We're just present in the moment. So what we're going to start to do is send the breath down into the belly, okay? So we're starting off with quite a deep belly breath. So what we want to do is send the breath down into the belly, and that's why I've got your hands there, because I want you to feel the hands begin to rise and fall underneath your hands. So it's like the belly's a balloon that you're inflating on the inhale and deflating on the exhale. And just simply noticing this feeling in the body, noticing the breath, is such a wonderful way to draw yourself into the present moment. You can be aware of the sounds around you. They don't bother you though, because you are just on your mat. You're listening to the sound of your breath, and you're feeling the breath deep in the belly. And you're actively nourishing your womb by doing this. The hands on the womb, giving that sense of warmth and care, and the breath just being sent there. what can also be nice here, especially when we're in constructive rest position and our feet are flat on the floor, is that on the exhale, we can really release tension out of the body. We can really visualize us releasing tensions and toxins and even little emotions or things that aren't serving you well at the moment. Release down and out on the exhale. Okay. So a few more deep belly breaths. I know it can be difficult to just stop and notice the breath, particularly if you've had a busy day. It's very hard at this time of night to be like, right, that's the day over and we're now doing yoga. I totally understand that. But just try and focus on the breath as best you possibly can. Okay. Now we're going to change the focus of our breath and lift it higher in the body, okay? So we can take our hands away from the belly and let's find the bottom of our ribs, okay? So the solar plexus, you know, that kind of fleshy bit as the ribs sort of flare away from each other. Just bring your hands there and you're going to inhale and exhale, trying to fill the lower ribs. So the hands are just sort of meeting at the solar plexus, the middle fingers touching as you inhale. They expand away. As you exhale, they come back together. Okay, and now we're going to bring the hands up to the top of the lungs, okay? So we're just finding the collarbones at each side and just come with your fingers just underneath the collarbone so that they're really over kind of the top of your breast, the top, like into the heart space. And now we're breathing into the top of the chest. And this one can be quite difficult because this is often the way we breathe if we're feeling anxious or sad, and that's fine. We're not trying to invoke those feelings. What we're trying to do is make space around those feelings. So we're trying to make space in the heart. Then we are just going to bring the hands down by our side and we're just going to try and link all the areas in terms of like three big inhales and exhales. So we start at the pelvic floor almost and we inhale and we draw the breath as if we're visualizing it going all the way up to the crown of the head. So it's sort of passing by the spine, going all the way up the spine, and then exhale back down. So three nice, deep, easy breaths. Okay, so now from here, we're just going to have a little sway side to side of the legs, okay? So let's just, with the breath, for the rest of the practice, we're just looking at a nice, easy breath, okay? Just in and out through the nose. Now we're just going to sway the knees, from side to side in the same direction, okay? So take them over to one side, into center, then over to the other. We're starting to release through the hips here. We're trying to really focus on releasing tension in the hips. and then into center. And then we'll just go over to one side because we're going to straight up to standing first of all. We're going to start our practice in standing. So we're rolling over onto our side and we're coming up to seated and then up to standing, okay? So, oh, there I go with my old lady, like grimaces. Okay, so we're going to do our moon salutations that we do quite often during these classes. And they're called moon salutes because they're much gentler than a sun salute, so they're a bit more sort of flowing, there's no planks in them, really looking to loosen up the hips, really looking to create a nice cooling effect on the body, so not heat, not like hot yoga or anything like that, nothing too fiery, okay, nice gentle heat, so we're going really, really slow. But there are some wee challenging postures in there, so one of them's a chair pose, really nice into the thighs, trying to get blood flow into the hips, and a nice lunge as well, really opening up through the hips, okay? So these are all suitable for all parts of the cycle, these moon salutations, okay? The only thing I would say is if you're feeling tired and you're moving towards menstruation, then we skip out downward dog maybe, I don't like downward dog and menstruation anyway, but for the first half of the cycle, after you've finished bleeding, perhaps you feel really good in these, and perhaps really, you're stronger in the postures. Again, it's about noticing how you feel. Okay, so we start off in Tadasana, okay, which is called mountain pose, and it's not just standing, okay, it's you rooting down to the earth, really consciously rooting down to draw energy up from the earth, okay? So look at your feet. Are they a nice hip width apart? Is your toes nice and spread? If they're not, then just adjust. Engage through the legs. So it's like we want to take the calves towards the shins and the thighs back the way. It sounds weird, but as we're really rooting through the feet and drawing the legs up, that's kind of what's happening in the legs, and it makes you feel really strong. Then we move up, so all this energy is lifting up through the body, okay? Then we get to the pelvic floor, nice lift there. We check in with the pelvis, what's going on? Does it feel, even just sometimes moving it, circling it, how's it feeling today? Are you sticking out your bum at the back? And I don't mean that as in the natural shape of your bum, I mean, are you tilting your pelvis? If so, then just let it neutralize, nice neutral pelvis. Then we move this energy up further, so we get to about the navel, it draws into the spine and then up. Then we're coming up, chest lovely and open, shoulders drawn back and then down, and then we're lifting up through the top of the head, okay? There's one more little trick in the chin, another energy lock we call it, and it's just a slight tilting down of the chin. We're not taking it onto the chest, but it's ever so slightly tilted down. And then hands coming to your side so that the palms are facing into your thighs. So not just standing up. There's a lot in a Tadasana, and that's not even really half of it, but I'm just trying to show you how to be really mindful with every movement that you make in your practice, okay? All right, let's take a nice big inhale and sweep the hands up above the head, and let's bring them to prayer position, and let's look at those thumbs. And then let's start to draw the hands down through the center of the body and tilt through the pelvis into standing forward fold. But this is the first one we've done, and we've literally just launched up from lying on the floor. So let's have nice soft knees, and let's just take our time here, warming the backs of our legs. Perhaps you want to even sway a little side to side to heat up through the backs of the legs and open up through your hips. We don't always have to be really static in our postures, particularly as we're kind of getting into the groove of our practice. Okay, the next position is this chair pose, okay? So for chair pose, we're really starting to bend through the knees. So we're bending through the knees, rooting through the feet, and we're lifting up with the hands above the head. So it's like we're sitting in a wee chair. And it's quite strong into your thighs, isn't it? And that's good, because we want to pump that blood in the thighs, and then when you release it, all that blood hopefully will flow through your pelvis and into your womb. Let's inhale and straighten the legs and reach up again, and into standing forward fold again. So tilting forward again. Okay, then we are going to take a nice big step back with the left foot and keep the right foot as it is. Okay, so step it back and we'll drop the knee and we're into low lunge here. Okay, hands framing that right foot, so hands either side, knee above the ankle or maybe just slightly forward from the ankle, but can you feel that lovely stretch through the right glute? That's what we're looking for. We're looking to open up through the hips. So sometimes I do these salutes and we literally just have one breath in each posture. Sometimes when I do it at the start of the practice like this, I like to spend longer because we have, you've probably had, if you've like me, you've probably had a busy day and you want to sort of uncoil and unwind your body. And I like to do that quite slowly. I hope you feel the same. I don't like just launching into things. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to use our hands on the floor and take the right foot back. Okay, so that it's underneath the hips. And then we'll plant the hands nice and flat. And the next one's down dog. But remember, if you're on your periods, I don't think a down dog's a good thing to do. I think you should just rest. So if that's the case, come down into pose. Bring your bum onto your heels, bring your forehead towards the floor and just chill out there, okay? Otherwise, all other points in the cycle, we can tuck our toes under and lift up with our hips towards the ceiling, okay? And I think if you're anything like me, you like to bicycle the legs, so you like to bend one knee as you straighten the other leg. See how nice and slow and mindful we're being with these moon salutations. I love to do it like that. It really helps that kind of, remember I was talking about the parasympathetic nervous system. That's where the stress hormones aren't really apparent and we're resting and we're digesting. That's what we're trying to do here. We're trying to uncoil you out of a stressful day maybe, and just get all those good, lovely hormones going. Okay? So once you've finished doing your wee bicycles through the legs, then let's just have a couple of breaths where we are reaching both heels down towards the floor. And I'm saying towards the floor. I have made my peace with the fact that my heels don't quite go on the floor. We're opening through the chest and we're moving. Remember, we're moving the weight away from the wrists. Okay, then we're going to drop down onto our knees and we're going to drop down into child's pose to join the ladies who are needing a little child's pose and aren't doing downward dog. Okay, then we're going to inhale again. And we're going to come up to high knees. So we're going to lift up knees below hips. And we're going to lift up with the hands above the head. And we're going to open the palms, really open them towards the ceiling and open your heart. So by that, I mean, because our arms are lifted, the shoulder blades will rise too, naturally, that's fine. Try and track them back down a little and just open through the heart. Feels quite uplifting, doesn't it? Then we're back down into table pose. Inhale, exhale, down to child's pose. If you need more rest, stay there. Otherwise, you're back up to table, you're tucking the toes under, and you're lifting up to down dog again. So
let's think of another. You can bicycle your legs by all means. I'm opting not to do that this time, but if that felt lush for you last time, then by all means. Just taking your attention to a few little points, okay? So the fingers are spread. We're really not stacking weight over the wrists here, okay? We're pushing it away. You're opening up underneath the armpits. And you're kind of wrapping the hands in, the arms in towards you. You're gazing at your navel so that the chin's tucked towards your chest. We're going to drop the knees again into table, and we are going to do our lunge on the other side, okay? So what do we go back with? Our left foot back. So now our left foot comes forward. So it can be quite nice to just, from table, take your left foot and like take it out behind. So pointing it out behind. And then as you exhale, just draw the knee up towards the chest and step it through. Okay? I'm squeezing onto my wee microphone thing here, and sometimes it turns off. Just checking I'm not doing that. Okay, so now we're into low lunge on this side. Okay, so hands on the floor, knee again above the ankle there or thereabouts. The right knee is slid back. Now, if you're fine that taking the knee quite far back, it gives you pain in your hips. We never want you to be in pain. Just draw the knee forward a little bit, and it takes the pressure off the hips, okay? Okay, then we're going to tuck the toes under of the right foot to help with us a nice step forward. We're moving to standing forward fold, okay? So step yourself forward, standing forward fold, okay? The feet planted about hip width or slightly narrower, hands coming towards the floor, and I say towards the floor because I know some people really struggle with their hamstrings. They might be quite far away from the floor, and that's fine. Breathing deeply. And then we're going to bend into the knees again, and we're going to lift up into chair. So remember, with your chair, it's quite strong into the thighs. I don't want you to tilt your pelvis too much and have a big mad bend in the back. You want quite a straight back. You want to sweep up from the pelvic floor, kind of lifting up those core muscles, okay? Inhale, straightening up and folding over again, standing forward fold. And then we're going to sweep up again, okay? All the way up, hands above the head, and then down. We draw them down over our third eye, between our eyebrows, and then over our heart. Okay? Hope everyone's doing okay. That was like one moon salutation, but it takes quite a wee while, and I think that's lovely because it just really starts to wind us all down. Let me just turn my heater off before I pass out. Can never get it quite right in here. It's either Baltic or it's roasting. Okay, still standing for another couple of postures, okay? Again, this, I'd say pretty much all this whole practice tonight is fine for all parts of the cycle, okay? But I'll keep you right if I think it's not, okay? This is a reverse warrior we're doing on a peaceful warrior, which I think is really, I love that name, peaceful warrior. So we start off up in our Tadasana at the top of our mat, and we're going to step back with the right foot, okay? So just a nice step back. Again, hard for me to really see how far, but kind of like a lunge type width, okay? So the back foot is turned to somewhere between 90 and 45 degrees. Do you know what I mean? It's not, it's just so that you feel really rooted and grounded. Front foot, the knee is going to be right above the ankle, okay? And we're going to be sitting down into the hips, okay? So even bring your hands onto the hips and sort of really feel your body nice and upright above the hips, okay? Relax, open your shoulders, open your chest, okay? So we're really sitting down. It starts to feel quite strong in the thighs, okay? really struggling for energy levels and you're struggling with this, remember you can always come down to child's pose, okay? Okay, so reverse warrior. So we're going to bring our right hand onto our right thigh at the back, and we're going to take our left hand out in front with the palm facing up, okay? And we're just going to breathe. And then the next time we inhale, we're going to start to tilt and lift that left hand up towards the ceiling, and we're just tilting back. So there's a nice back bend going on, a nice open heart going on, and we just gaze up at that left hand. And then we're going to come forward and we're going to just place our left elbow on our left knee, okay? So we might go a little deeper here, so maybe slide your back foot back slightly. And what we're going to try and focus on is keeping the body lovely and open, okay? So we're not folding forward into a lunge. Everything's open, so this is like a kind of gentle side angle pose. So right hip drawing back, so we're really opening up. The right side of your ribs opening out, heart space lovely and open, right shoulder open, okay? And we're just going to stay leaning on our elbow here, as in elbow into knee. We're just going to lift up and over with our right hand. There are deeper versions of this, but I think this is just perfect, okay? Inhaling and exhaling. Space in the torso, space through the pelvis. Okay, we're going to come up. We're going to straighten this front leg, okay? Now our feet are too wide. We're going to do opposite postures on the other side, okay? I'm not leaving it just down one side. We're just linking up 3, and then we'll go to the other side, okay? So we're moving towards Trikonasana. This is too wide for Trikonasana. So a wee bounce into the back leg and just shorten your stance up, okay? Now look to your feet, okay? Because we might want to line them up a little bit more. So we want maybe heel to heel or heel to instep. And you know when we were in side angle there and I was saying hip, ribs, shoulder, those same principles, okay? Because we want to create space and we want to open the hips, okay? So the legs are going to remain straight this time, all right? Okay, what else was I going to say? Can't remember. Just remember those 3 little points drawn back, okay? Don't think the aim is getting to your foot, okay? Sometimes, and I'm guilty of it too, you think must get to the foot, right? Shoulder comes down, ribs collapse. You move it, you lose all the whole posture, okay? There's no prizes getting handed out, okay? So we're just going to try and focus on opening the hips and opening the front of the body, okay? So we're going to slide down the leg and lift up the right hand towards the ceiling, okay? So it's called Trikonasana, which means triangle pose, because you're making a beautiful triangle with your body. So the top hand is the top point and then the 2 feet. And then come up. I didn't mean to sound harsh by saying don't go for your feet and everything. I forget sometimes that Glaswegians are pretty harsh. And it doesn't mean that I'm being harsh to you. So if you feel like I'm like, oh God, just give me any trouble, I'm not. I'm just trying to tell you to give yourself a break, really, okay? So yeah, sometimes I hear my voice and I think, oh God, I was having a wee sip of water as well. We've done those 3 postures. Remember, we did reverse warrior, a nice gentle extended side angle, a gentle side angle, and then a Trikonasana. So we just do that on the other side, okay? So you're going to step up to the top of your mat and then step back with your left leg. I'm just going to change sides of my mat so that I'm still facing you, okay? In case anyone has a question or wants to tell me to be quiet. Okay, so left foot coming back into reverse warrior. Okay, so really I love to just bring hands onto hips and really feel that lovely sinking into the hips. Okay, knee above ankle. Lovely. Heart space open. Sliding down the back leg, lifting up this time. It's the right hand lifting. Now you can just keep it like towards the ceiling, or you can have a tiny little back bend. Nothing wrong with that. Just not over, there's nothing overzealous about this practice. Gentle. It's flowing. Okay, let's go into that side angle. So we're sort of leaning forward a little, but the hips are still opening. Shoulders drawing back, lifting up and over. Okay, lifting up, straightening your front leg and just a little bounce into the knee to shorten it up for Trikonasana. Okay, so hips nice and open, sort of mirroring the long end of your mat. So we're kind of parallel to that. Turn that back foot a little, line up your feet. Hands, right hand sliding down the right leg, left hand lifting up. As long as we're lovely and open, we can let that hand come down. But the moment you start to feel you're folding forward and your bum sticking out at the back is where you just pause and breathe there. Okay, lifting up, stepping forward. And that's it for standing postures, okay? I like to do the standing postures, then we make this kind of journey back down to the mat, okay? So we're just going to come down onto high knees, okay? And you know what I'm going to say if you've been coming for ages? Stretching the soul. The one that we all collectively hate together, but it's really good for us, or maybe you love it, or maybe you change every week. But if you're new tonight, then this is one that we do quite often because it's so good for opening up lovely little meridians in the soles of your feet, okay? So we tuck the toes under at the back, okay? And we're on high knees just now. What we are going to do is sit on those heels now that we've tucked the toes under, okay? Uncomfortable, but totally doable if we use the breath, okay? So we're sitting down onto the heels, feeling that lovely stretch through the sole. Your hands can either just come on your thighs or over your heart. We're just going to breathe here. We're going to ignore that achy sensation in the soles of the feet. Now, if you're really, really struggling with this and you're like, no, I cannot do another second, just lift up and release it, and then you can come back down. Okay? Everyone's different again. Remember, what were those words at the start? Force or strain? When is anything ever good with force and strain? Nothing. We're just working within our own little bodies. Okay, we're going to move forward now and release and come to all fours. Uncuddle the toes and just tap, 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 tap on the tops of the feet. Okay, let's do some stuff from table pose now, all right? We're just going to simply have a little stretch through the hips in different directions. So let me just take us out of table pose to talk to you about what we're looking for here, okay? So your thigh bone's like the longest, isn't it? The femur, the longest in the body, and it goes right up into your pelvis. And there's like a socket, like a ball, it's like a ball and socket joint. So the top of the femur goes into the pelvis, and there's a little socket. And around that socket is going to be like little fascia and muscles. And we can store a lot of tension there. So we need to work that little socket out. When I say store tension, it's my belief and very yogic belief that we store emotions there as well, into the hips, particularly women, into the hips and into the pelvis. So these kind of postures can help us release that, okay? So really visualize that joint as you're doing it, okay? So we're coming into all fours, okay? So the first one we're going to do is just taking the foot behind, okay? So we're going to lift the right knee off the mat, and we're not going out to the side, we're going behind us, okay? So we're lifting it up so that the thighs then parallel to the floor. And then we're going to try and draw the right heel towards the bum. Now, you could do that just like this, or if you fancied having a little balance onto left hand and left knee, you can bring the right hand behind. It becomes a little bit wobbly till you've got that foot. You can kind of draw it in. Okay. Okay, let's release down. And now we want to, I'm going to turn so that you can see what I'm doing, because I just realised as I lift the right leg. Okay, so we're coming now, instead of taking the knee behind, we're taking it out to the side. Okay, 90 degrees. Then flex your right foot and we circle the leg. Okay, so the knee draws the circles, but what's really working is that joint into the pelvis. So I'm just coming up onto my fist, right, because I've hurt my wrist. So if you're the same and you struggle with putting pressure onto your wrist, you always come up onto your fist. Circling through. I'm laughing at myself because usually I find this absolutely fine, but obviously with my old lady buttocks, I'm struggling tonight, but it's quite nice in a way as well. Okay, let's drop down, and then we'll just sway the pelvis side to side, just working out any little knots and tension going on in the pelvis. Okay, so let's do that on the other side now. Okay, so remember the first time we took the knee, we took it behind. We take the heel in towards the bum. And then we can decide if we want to bring the hand round. And it is a balance, isn't it? Pushing into the hand and the knee. But once I feel like it's a balance until you've got a firm grip onto your foot, and then it feels quite good. Really draw that heel in towards the bum. Okay, let's drop down. And then let's do the circles, okay? So left knee lifted, flexing the sole, and begin drawing circles with the knee. Okay, hands down, knee down. Just some nice simple cat cuddles now, okay? So we've worked into that ball and socket joint. Now we want to sort of work with tilting the pelvis in two different directions, and cat and cow is great for that, okay? So our cow position is where we tilt down towards the floor with the navel, and we tilt the pelvis. Okay, so really up between those sit bones at the bottom, and we gaze up, and then have a nice exhale and take your pelvis the other way. Curl up with the spine, draw the chin onto the chest, and then back to cow. It's a beautiful connection, cat and cow. Vidalasana, we call it. They're a complete opposite to each other, aren't they? The cow cow position, really opening the heart, gazing up. The gaze comes up, so it's quite an extroverted posture. Cat, we take our gaze towards our navel, our chin in, we curl up, and it's quite a almost child's pose type posture where we kind of retreat into ourselves. Slow movements though. We're not sweeping between the two of them. We're really taking our time going between the two. Okay. Now we'll just come in to neutral and we'll cross the ankles at the back and then come back and then flop yourself over your ankles and then you're into second. So I'll just turn forward. Okay. I'm going to do some seated postures now, okay? So I'm just going to open our hips a little bit more if we can. From this seated posture, we're going to just, if we can, again, remember, no force or strain here. If we can, we're just going to lift one leg up at a time, okay? So the other one stays on the floor, okay? So just bring your hands underneath your right leg and lift it up, okay? Now, you could go quite high up, you could keep it quite low, but all we're going to do is rock from side to side. Okay, pop that one down. Over to the other side. Okay, come down. Okay, and then move your feet so that they come to meet each other into bound angle pose, okay? So we're going to do a forward fold with our bound angle, all right? So it really helps to loosen the pelvis, really helps to get lots of lovely blood flow going in, all right? So we're going to do it first of all very more gently, and the way we make it more gentle is simply by taking the heels away from us so that they're fairly far out, okay? And then if we can, so a way to make it super gentle if you really are not in the mood for going too deep is to use cushions. Pile up cushions in front of you and literally just fold onto the cushions and relax. And that's quite passive, but it still does great stuff into the body. Okay. The other way is to make where we've picked up that leg and rocked it. We're going to thread our hands underneath this time. So we're going to take our hands and thread them under each leg. Okay. And as you're doing that and reaching the hands, you're going to fold forward naturally. But again, it's no force or strain. Okay. It's keeping the heart open, shoulders relaxed, and just keep the reach coming from the pelvis, okay? So we're reaching forward, our sit bones are still lovely and anchored. We're just gently folding forward. And maybe even for you, that reach under the calves is like too much. That's fine, just have them on top and just gently fold over from here, okay? Again, remember there's absolutely no prizes. Your practice will change week on week. coming up. We'll go a little deeper, as in we'll take the heels a little closer in towards the groin, okay? So just take the heels back, still having our feet together, all right? This time we're just making a little basket with our hands, and we'll bring our hands round, okay? So if you grabbed that tea towel, we're going to do a few forward folds, okay? Sometimes, you know, it can be nice to even bring it in here and just have it under the feet, kind of just pulling up from the feet and drawing the knees towards the floor. Can be a nice little variation on it. But you can just use your hands in little baskets if that feels good too. Don't want you slumping into the lower back here, okay? So just check that. Make sure we're lifting up with the hips. We're lifting up with the spine. Chest lovely and open. Okay, so now we're going to take both legs straight out, okay? So draw your knees together and then take your legs straight out in front. I've still got my tea towel. Really like using them for forward folds, and if you've grabbed one, you can have a play with it today. So we literally take the tea towel round the balls of the feet, like that, and we can sort of pull against as we fold forward. Don't worry if you don't have one. That's the best way for me to show you this. Maybe I should turn to the side. Okay, so legs are straight out in front. So this posture is brilliant for calming the mind, and great for all parts of the cycle. If you're needing a super restorative version of it, you can pile cushions on top of your legs and just simply fold over the cushions. If you have got a really sore tummy, perhaps through menstruation, perhaps through stimulation drugs, perhaps creating a little space in between your legs is what you need, so you're taking the heels a little wider. Otherwise, all other points of the cycle, it can be quite nice to have that little massage of the womb on the top of the thighs, okay? If you're using the tea towel, round the balls of the feet, lift and lengthen, keep the heart space open, fold forward, pulling against it. Okay, we're trying to just keep a fairly neutral spine. There'll be a nice natural curve, but nothing too much with the curve in the spine. If you don't have a prop and you just want to use your hands, then that's cool as well. Okay, we're going to lift up. And you know that Baddha Konasana that we were just in with our knee out to the side? We're going to do that, but make our way to Janusarshasana, or head to knee pose. So you're going to do that with the right side. So right foot onto left thigh, taking the knee towards the floor. You can use your little tea towel again, round the ball of the foot. We're going to be folding over this straight leg. So when we're folding over here, try and make your gaze go way beyond the knee, okay? So even look at your toes to make you reach beyond the knee, okay? Shoulders relaxed, heart open, spine quite neutral, folding forward. Okay, lifting up. Lifting and lengthening, then folding. Focus on the breath and these uncomfy forward folds. There's very few people who find these, you know, you can flop right into them and find them good. So just use the breath. lifting up. So you've now reached the point in your practice where we do Savasana and we do final relaxation with a little meditation surrounding fertility. Okay, so for that, if you've maybe taken off a hoodie or you've taken off your socks, maybe put them back on, grab a little cushion, grab a little throw, and slowly make your way down to lying down on your mat. Okay, so Savasana position, we don't just flop ourselves into it, we don't stop being mindful with all our movements just because we're into final relaxation. Okay, so I like to start off seated, but it's not like that forward fold we just did with our legs all zipped up and our feet, the heels are apart from each other, and then we take our hands down and we slowly lower the spine down onto the mat. Okay, and then with your hands, they're palm facing up if you can, not zipped into the body, out to the side with the palms facing up. All right, and I will read you through our little script tonight. Okay, so there's a wee script that I've written called the 5 Resolves. So it's 5 affirmations we're going to work with, and I change them every week. Well, I don't do this every week, but I like to choose them at random in a weird way, feeling like the universe is deciding for us which affirmations we're working with. I've got a wee deck that I use. Okay, so I'm going to choose them now, okay, while you guys get sorted. And then once I've got all the affirmations together, we can begin. Okay, so we use 5, all right? I'm going to shuffle again once more, and then I'm going to choose the last one. Okay. All right, so the 5 resolves for tonight are: I release any fears about time. I am not alone. Which, to be honest, I think is beautiful, considering that we're all here together doing this practice together from all over. My body and my mind are healthy and strong. I release the past and I'm fulfilled by the moment, which I quite like, considering we've been trying to really focus on just being here in this practice for the past hour. And the last one, our last of our 5 resolves: my courage is stronger than my fear. Okay, so these affirmations and resolves are what they don't do is minimize any suffering that you're experiencing. So any emotions that we may label as negative, we're not minimizing them. If that's what you've come to tonight to your practice with, then by all means feel away. These are just nice affirmations and resolve to move forward with, and they're really direct commands to the mind. And it's really nice to do them when we've come into this state of relaxation, as in we've really done a practice that's really tried to be slow and unwinding. So now your body's listening to you at a deeper level, okay? So those are the affirmations. And we're going to use this image of 5 pebbles with them, okay? And they're coloured pebbles, but I'll talk you through that. First of all I want you to do is begin to focus on your breath again, okay? Just simply breathing in and breathing out with no real manipulation of the breath at all. Just noticing the breath as it moves through the body. And you're now going to scan over your body, seeking out any little areas that still feel quite tense. And what you're going to do is, with each exhale of the body, you're going to try and release those little bits of tension. And with every inhale, you're going to try and send light and healing and warmth to those areas of relaxation. And the body's beginning to respond and beginning to feel really heavy and really relaxed. Melting down into the floor. Those hands that are placed by your side with the palms facing up feel like they're moving down into the ground. The feet are feeling the same way. They're moving away from you and down into the ground. Feel really safe and supported by the earth. Whole body feeling heavy and relaxed. Breathing calm. So I want you to imagine now that in your left hand you have 5 pebbles, and each pebble represents an affirmation. And the colours of the pebbles are red, deep mauve, blue, green, and golden yellow. And I want you to begin by visualization, by transferring from the left hand to the right hand the red pebble. And as you transfer the pebble, repeat to yourself the affirmation: I release any fears about time. Back over to the left hand, finding your deep mauve pebble and transferring it to the right hand. Repeating the affirmation: I am not alone. Back over to the left hand to get to the blue pebble, finding the blue pebble, transferring it to the right hand, repeating in your mind: my body and my mind are healthy and strong. Moving over to the left hand to the green pebble, transferring the green pebble to your right hand. I release the past and am fulfilled by the moment. Moving over to find that last little pebble, the golden yellow pebble. And as you transfer the pebble, repeat to yourself the affirmation, my courage is stronger than my fear. So now in your right hand, you have these beautiful 5 pebbles. And we repeat the affirmations once more. I release any fears about time. I am not alone. My body and mind are healthy and strong. I release the past and am fulfilled by the moment. My courage is stronger than my fear. Okay, so this is where I leave you, ladies. Thank you for coming. It's up to you whether you want to stay for a bit longer, so I'll leave the music running for those ladies who just need longer to rest, restore, and relax. But just whenever it's your time to move out of your relaxation, remember to do it slowly. Remember, you don't need to remember anything I've said. Those affirmations are rooted deep into your subconscious, so you don't have to remember them. Your mind already knows on a really deep subconscious level. So I'm bowing to you now. I'm sending out lots and lots of love to all of you. And like I said, I'll leave you